Bernard Hopkins, born January 15, 1965, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, U.S., American boxer who dominated the middleweight division in the early 2000s with a combination of speed and precision that earned him the nickname the Executioner. Hopkins was involved in street crime as a teenager, and at age 17 he was convicted of armed robbery and sentenced to prison. He served 56 months, during which time he took up boxing, and after his release on parole in 1988, he maintained a clean record. He had his first professional bout on October 11, 1988, in Atlantic City, New Jersey, but he was unable to earn a living as a full-time boxer and supplemented his income by washing pots and pans in the kitchen of a Philadelphia hotel. Later he worked at an auto transmission repair shop owned by his trainer, Bowie Fisher. Hopkins won the vacant International Boxing Federation, IBF, middleweight title by knocking out Segundo Mercado in the 7th round on April 29, 1995, in Landover, Maryland, but even with this victory behind him, he struggled to find meaningful bouts. Although highly respected for his formidable skills and dedication, Hopkins continued to toil in relative anonymity until 2001, when he entered a tournament organized by promoter Don King to unify the middleweight title. In the first bout of the series, on April 14 in New York City, Hopkins retained the IBF title and won the World Boxing Council, WBC, version with a 12-round decision over Keith Holmes. In his second bout, on September 29 at New York City's Madison Square Garden, Hopkins stopped the previously undefeated Felix Trinidad in the 12th round in a major upset to retain the IBF and WBC belts and win the World Boxing Association, WBA, title. Hopkins thus became the first unified middleweight champion since Marvin Hagler lost the title in 1987. This achievement earned Hopkins Fighter of the Year honors for 2001 from both the Boxing Writers Association of America and Ring Magazine. Following 4 more defenses of the unified title, Hopkins faced fellow American Oscar de la Hoya on September 18, 2004, in Las Vegas. His 9th round knockout of the charismatic fighter was a climax in Hopkins's inspirational journey from the penitentiary to the top of the boxing world. The win was also his 19th successful defense of the middleweight title, a division record. Thanks to his career-long commitment to physical conditioning and mastery of virtually every aspect of his craft, Hopkins was able to compete at the highest level at an age when most boxers had retired. After a pair of narrow losses to Jermaine Taylor in 2005, Hopkins moved up to light heavyweight and defeated Antonio Tarver and Ronald Winky Wright. In October 2008, having lost a split decision earlier in the year to Joe Calzaghe, Hopkins demonstrated that his skills had clearly not diminished with age when he won a unanimous decision over previously undefeated Kelly Pavlik, who was 17 years his junior. Hopkins followed that victory with one against Enrique Ornelas in December 2009 and another against Roy Jones, Jr., in April 2010. In May 2011 Hopkins defeated Jean Pascal to capture the WBC light heavyweight title. By so doing, he broke George Foreman's record and became the oldest world champion in boxing history. Hopkins bested his own mark 22 months later when he won a unanimous decision over Tavares Cloud to become the IBF light heavyweight champion at age 48. In 2014 Hopkins won the WBA light heavyweight title by a split decision over Bibut Shumanov, becoming the oldest boxer to unify major titles. Later that year, however, Hopkins lost both belts when he was defeated by Sergey Kovalev in a unanimous decision. In what was described as his last fight, Hopkins fought Joe Smith, Jr., in 2016. The bout was close until the 8th round, when Hopkins fell out of the ring after being hit by a series of punches and was unable to continue. He ended his career with a record of 56 wins, 32 of which were knockouts, 8 losses, and 2 draws. Considered an iconoclastic figure within the boxing industry, Hopkins feuded with promoters throughout much of his career, frequently battling in court just as fiercely as he did inside the ring. An outspoken advocate of reforming a system that allowed promoters and sanctioning bodies to engage in unethical and illegal practices, he also testified in 1999 before the National Association of Attorneys General Boxing Task Force about corruption and various other problems within the sport.